Hello. Hi, Akil.
Hello. I'm just setting up just 1 minute.
Go ahead. Very good evening to all the viewers. This is Jagat. Thank you. Hi, Vijetha. Warm welcome to you.
Hey
So,
Jagat, good evening.
good evening. Very, very warm welcome to you, Vijetha.
Thank you very, very much, sir.
How are things? How's the Sunday
Oh,
been?
all good, all busy. Just some interactions with lots of founders. What's going on with them? Ecosystem players. It's
Yeah.
usual Sunday, usual Sunday.
But nice weather. I think the weather
It
from
is.
morning's been really beautiful
It's
Bangalore weather.
been good. It's been good. Doing some reading and some research work, and
Yeah.
planning the week ahead. So all good. All is well.
Super. Warm welcome to all the viewers. Welcome, to all the people on Facebook, on YouTube. We are live on Facebook and YouTube on our respective pages and channel. Welcome, Ganesh and others. Really looking forward to a lot of learning today. And my of course today, there is a end of June. Where is the last Sunday of June. So April, May, June. People are finishing the first quarter, right? So I think all the startup founders and businesses, a close eye on what's happening in the closing of the quarter, right? So let's last startup Sunday of the quarter, and today one of the important topics that I will cover, and probably briefly Vijetha and Akil also can quickly share what they do, and then we can move into the session. Uh,
Absolutely.
just wanted to name this remote control for startups, right? And I think that's really the word today. If you look at what's happened, I feel that there's been a lack of control, right? I mean, generally working from home, leaders especially, and I think managers really feel a little uncomfortable, right? Especially those used to the traditional office work environments. So I think that's going to be my thing. I probably come in the end after letting both these wonderful people speak first. So yeah, Akil, Vijetha, whoever wants to go first, quick brief on what we are doing today, and then probably one of us can kickstart. Thanks.
Hey,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. First is I would just like to give a quick hi to Mr. Ganesh Rao. He's a very seasoned and experienced entrepreneur in the food business. He runs his restaurant called Sea Rock, which is near Shivananda Circle. It's been there for many, many years and still gives beautiful food, beautiful service. And I used to go there when I used to be working at Western 25 years back. And even now, the place is, I think, 30 plus years, doing really well.
Yeah,
And thank you, Ganesh, because Jagat, we should think about this, right? It's not just about technology. There are so many traditional businesses, restaurants, eateries who are kind of going through some little bit of situations,
yeah,
but they're not giving up. All the restaurants, all the resorts that are there out there in places like Chikmagalur, etc., etc. So, but always the conversation is how can they use the techniques of remote work, remote CEO, remote sales, etc., to still grow and connect and engage with their customers. So,
absolutely.
I'll be talking about some growth hacks, something, some research work, and of course, wisdom from books. These are a couple of things, the
Yes.
networking principles, and that's it. And over to you, Akil.
Thank you. Good evening. So, we've in the last few sessions of Full Stack 2021, we have covered a lot of tools like Django, Ionic, front-end frameworks, back-end frameworks, etc. There's one thing common amongst all of them. All of them are open source. So, this week we're going to give you a small guide to open source.
The open source, really, I think has changed the world.
Yeah.
Look at it. The whole internet is open source, and it's just so different from the olden days, right? Today, we can't think of a world. There's no concept of startup without open source. And really, the hats off. I just want to take a second there, and really, thanks to all the people who contribute to open source,
Yes.
to all the developers and organizations. I think that's just outstanding, right? I mean, you're so selfless, and you do so much of work, and you're willing to share it out with the community so that more people are able to kind of build on top of that. Hats off to you guys. I think the internet's really possible because of open source contributors. So hats off to you guys. Uh, so Vijetha, Akil, any of you? I mean, maybe we can do a little bit. I mean,
We'll
like
do
I think,
split. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
split. Okay.
Sure.
So what I'll do is let us start with the books, Jagat, and I'm sure that you also, Akil, you all should contribute. So what I'll just show some books and some of the wisdoms or some techniques that we can use in that. Okay, just simple as possible. This is one thing about Scrum, the sprint, the backlog, create as much as things to do,
yeah,
and then prioritize it. And what are the wisdoms? Some of the things that I mean, I just very quickly take 2 seconds to I just made a few notes, right? The sprint is, to making sure that whatever is important and has to be done, the entire resources and the focus is there without getting into any other distractions, and completing it in such a way that the customer and the partners and everyone is satisfied, right? Or delighted rather. Okay. And that you must set audacious goals, because that's what the sprint is all about, and that's about it. And also it's about being happy today and tomorrow. So whether it is your team, whether it's your customers happiness, which you have to choose and you have to work towards, it makes a big difference. Okay. So that was one. Then old is gold book, the 7 habits of highly effective people. So for me, one of the things is about sharpen the saw, right? Unless you really practice and unless you get really good and better rather at what you do, it's very difficult to succeed and keep winning. And yes, when it comes to winning, look at a win-win formula, right? And it is very much possible if you really focus and concentrate on it. The win-win formula is very much possible. And these are the two simple takeaways that I'm talking about from this very wonderfully written book.
In fact,
Okay.
I can just pull it out right here. I have this right here.
Yeah, I can imagine, right, Jagat? And of course, this one very critical. Avoid procrastination, however tough it is. Some of the things that have to be done must be done. And it has to be done on time. Don't ever lose out on that. Okay.
The legend Brian Tracy.
Yeah,
Really, I mean,
absolutely.
just
Yeah,
even watching his videos on YouTube is really gives you kind of
yes, yes,
direction.
absolutely. Another old-time favorite. Okay, Malcolm Gladwell, Blink. He's written many wonderful books. They sell in millions, and plus he has got his own podcast, etc., etc. So highly encouraged to read it, reread it, and of course, now what is this all about? It's like like how do you intuitively decide what is right, what is wrong, and then of course you have to still use data points, and why we should stand tall and we should do our best. The secret life of snap decisions, etc., etc. But yeah, and it's also about a second look at first impressions and doing research work at the same time. So it kind of the balancing act. Okay, this is something because it's for the friends of mine in the hospitality business, Jagat. The
Yes,
spirit
yes.
to serve, right? We call people guests, we don't call them as customers. Okay. And it's about Aditi Deva Bhavo and taking good care of them. All right. Then the last book that I'm showing in this round is written by an Indian professional, one of the well-known and respected names in the business, Subrata Bagchi. Okay, he's a legend in because of the work ethics, the hard work, the professionalism, and the sheer volume of great companies and great leaders that he has built in his time. Okay, so this is it from me. So then, Akhil, you can start your stuff. Then I'll come back with some other things, and of course, Jagat is there to balance everything. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for those inputs. All business related books. Life's about now. We're focused on business only. Again, over to you. All right. What do you have today? You're on mute. Yeah. And just a quick shout out to all the viewers who are joining us. Mr. Ganesh, again, as Vijetha said, warm welcome to you to Vidphone and our series Startup Sunday. Would love to have you on raise hand later and have a conversation with us. Share your inputs and insights. Welcome Chandni, Naveen, Challa, Sangeet, Abdul, a lot of other people. Thanks a lot for spending your time with us on Sunday. Hope we can all learn together. Akil, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. So, welcome to the 10th edition of Full Stack 2021, where today we'll be talking about, I'll be letting you in on a small guide to open source. So, in the previous episodes of Full Stack 2021, we covered a lot of different technologies like Django, Node.js, Cordova, Ionic, Socket, and Angular. And there's one thing common amongst all of them. They all are open source. So, what is open source? Open source software, or OSS as it's commonly called, it's designed. It's a code that is accessible publicly, so anyone can look at the code. They can go through it. They can modify it, and then they can distribute it and use it as they wish. Normally, the code is developed in a decentralized manner and a collaborative way, so that you can suppose you find anything wrong with it, or you want any new feature, you can uh, put something called an issue. You can create an issue where you can say, okay, this is wrong with the code, or I would like this feature, and then you normally have a maintainer of a project. the maintainer is like the guy who normally is the person who originally created that particular project, and he'll most probably, or he or his team, normally maintainers have a small team to help them, wherein they will go through your requirement or project or bug, and then decide what the next course of action. And then open source projects have multiple different licenses. So you have MIT and Apache, which is one of the more permissive licenses where you basically can do anything you like. And you also have a few more restrictive type of licenses where you can use the project only if you open source your own project along, or you disclose the source of your project. So let's talk about some of the benefits of open source. Uh, the largest benefit is the biggest benefit is community. So when you do an open source project, you have people from all walks of life contributing to your project. Not only do they contribute code, but they can also contribute network, so they can get you in touch with other people. You can also meet potential employers. You can also meet, if you're an employee, you can meet potential employees. A lot of people get jobs through open source. So suppose a company is using a very important project for them, and then they see that some person is keep on fixing bugs that they face in the and contributing back to the project. They might contact that person directly and get that person for an interview. Transparency. So normally open source projects are developed right in the open. So everything from their roadmap to planned features, planned bugs that they're going to fix, planned roadmap. So they also have like a set milestone. So normally they put all those things out in the open, and they're also a lot of them are also open to feedback. So you can suggest like, okay, I want, could you please provide X feature in the next version, etc. Security. So since a lot of since the code is open source, it's quite difficult for you to, for an external user to add malicious code. So especially if the project is popular. So there's so if the project is a popular project, a lot of people are going to be looking at each code, at each pull request. So a pull request is nothing but you submitting code that you want to be integrated to the project. If your project is very popular, the pull request will be viewed by a lot of people. So any malicious piece of code that you want to add will be reviewed by multiple people, which makes it harder to infect. And you can also audit the code. So you can go through the code. Everything is open online. You can just go through all the code and check if anything doesn't meet your particular security requirement. Then resilience. So forking is wherein you create a copy of the code and then you develop on it. So you can fork an unmaintained project. Like suppose you're using a project and then say the developer is sick of the project or moves on, or oftentimes he gets hired by another company and has no time for his free project. So you can fork the code, and then a lot of time the community will take over it. In Python, there's a few communities that are set up for this exact purpose, wherein they search for unmaintained projects and then they transfer ownership from that person who's kind of ignored the project for some time, and then they take over the project and then they continue to develop the project. So the project has a new lease of life. And and also there's even big companies like Facebook. They acquired the Pass project. Facebook, they acquired the Pass project, which was like a backend program, wherein a backend server wherein you had uh, real-time ability to for auth. You could get real-time updates of the database, etc. So they stopped development, but they released all of that as an open source project, and then the community has taken over that project and given a new lease of life. I'll continue the rest of the project after Vijetha's talk. Thank you.
That was nice introduction.
I think that was very beautifully done, Akhil. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for this. And no, your hard work also we should appreciate. You
Yes,
Thank
spent
you.
10
very
times
good.
10 episodes, so you really put in a lot of effort to build very useful tools and resources for the community and ecosystem, and of course to founders. Okay, so Jagat, what I'll be doing now, and this is of course Akhil, you also get involved. Something about growth hacking, buyer persona, sales hacks, etc. But we'll make it interactive. Okay. So I will ask you a few contextual questions as well as we have this discussion, because that's the best way to learn, share, and engage. Okay. So
Sure.
I'm just going ahead. Hopefully, I'll get this right. Okay. You must tell me whether my screen is visible.
It
Yes,
is.
all good.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So very quickly, I'm just going to say that okay, the social selling atomy to a B2B. We're not talking about B2C here. We'll just focus on a B2B decision maker. He spends time on communities and blogs. He uses LinkedIn. He uses Twitter. He consumes content. He asks questions on say maybe Quora and other things. He reads blogs. He watches videos. He comments. He posts ratings. He publishes and creates content of his own. Okay. So this is a very quick thing. We all know this, but just a quick concept note around that. Okay. And what exactly is growth hacking? Okay. And how does it relate to say sales, or how does it relate to making your business successful? I will not get into the technology tools here because that is mostly Akil and Jagat. That's what you guys use. But having great software and engineering, great automation and testing and data analytics is very critical. So I will talk a little bit about the marketing part. Okay. But mostly I want to very quickly get the bullet pointed things on your software engineering and automation, Jagat. So at Vidphone, as a very small but powerful team that is growing, what are the couple of things that you think is ideal to use and what you would like to share with the founders?
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, that'll be perfect for me to, in fact, even my thing is in line with that. So wonderful.
Okay. And obviously it's about testing, it's about getting the data, but unless you analyze the data and take insights from it, it won't help out. And you have to be very creative, you have to be different. You can't just put the same stuff out there because then just going to get lost in the game. Okay. So it's so many things, right? Content marketing, creating blogs, you should have slide shares, you should have ebooks, you must be looking at retargeting, email marketing, you have to analyze everything, you have to do a beautiful call to action, you have to have SEO, you have to have organic engagement, you have to have landing page optimization. So why I'm sharing this is every single thing is not something that you can do simultaneously, but however you have to build the building blocks. And unless you understand all these things, if you want to grow from where you are, from say 10, 20, 50 customers, you want to grow 5,000, 10,000, 1 million customers, you want to be a unicorn, you want to have hundreds of $1 million of worth of sales, this growth marketing, your presence, being there, and of course giving phenomenal service and having a beautiful product is important. And you got to tell your story. You must have fantastic CTA, stands for call to action. Unless there's a call to action, people will just consume your content and nothing else will happen. You will not get sales. Unless your email is very beautifully temporalized, it has a very compelling subject line, the content is easy to read, and once again, there has to be a call to action in your email. Unless that is there, you're not going to go anywhere. Your blogs, very subtly, must have a way for customers to reach you, understand you, realize that you are a subject matter expert, that you are someone who's trusted by many, many customers, and they should want to become your customer. They should have a need which converts into a want to be your customer. Okay, so it's important to get all these things into place. You must understand the concepts, and we keep growing. Okay, Jagat, would you like to talk about some of these that you guys are doing?
Sure. I think that's beautifully done infographic. Firstly, I think it's very nicely done, very creative. So yeah, I think growth hacking, growth marketing, I think nicely put. Uh, for me, really, it was 2014, 15 where we started doing a lot of digital marketing with some really large brands, handling you know lakhs of digital marketing budgets per month, and it was a very very intense uh, kind of projects that we did. ZTV, large political parties as well. So one of the things that I realized, that there is an overemphasis sometimes, and I'm just generally when we see other blogs as well, the channels I think are important, but I think what we've also, I keep discussing it. I mean, what is the core messaging, or what is the kind of the creative strategy, right? What are we trying to symbolize to the user? I think that's the real, and that's brand, right? I mean, how do we create that brand? Like we were seeing the Nike, it's not about shoes, it's about championships, it's about world champions. And I think Apple as well, right? Have created that premium brand where if you use Apple, you're like the 1% kind of audience. They've created that kind of image of premium. So yeah, that I think is really the key, right? That essence. But all of these things, I think are critical today, right? I mean, content is the core really, and as they say, funnel before the product also. Sales funnel, I think nice to see that sales funnel and content marketing really big, and of course you have that CTA that's also kind of big. So I think it's very nicely done. I think it's you're kind of highlighting the important points there. Of course, you have the blogs, slide shares, ebooks, more of the
Absolutely.
lead
It's not
lead
just social
magnets.
media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Quora, everything. There's so many. If you start listing, it's like crazy.
It's
But
huge. Yes.
but it's important to understand these things because growth comes from these things, right? Digital and remote sales, virtual engagement. These are very important parts of the strategy right now. All right.
Yep.
Now I will
Super.
just go in. And so it's not just that you know these things. Ultimately, your team has to have this. Your team has to have the skills, right? So you want to bring the customer in. You want to understand the psychology of the customer. You have to think like the customer. So yes, you have to have your presence on social media. You have to make sure that your emails are very compelling. It also means that you must understand whether it's actually after all this, are you really converting? Are you actually getting people to your website? Or are they calling you? Are they writing to you? Are they replying to your emails? Are they opening your emails? And is it converting to sales? Is your sales team able to get a lot of leads because of all these activities that you're doing? I think that's the pointer that we are trying to bring in here. And also, it's about skill. So you may be a founder, you may be having a team, but until and unless you understand and build your skill sets, and today it's all about learning, relearning, unlearning, and figuring out what needs to be done to get customers. You have to build the tools, you have to build automation, you have to understand what it means to be able to give a very beautiful contextual email. You have to understand how to use WhatsApp. You have to understand how to, Jagat, you talked about brand, the compelling brand. Like, why should I buy an expensive phone when I can get the same kind of functionality for something for half the price? So, understanding the customer, really interacting with your customer all the time, building the curiosity that, hey, what are these guys talking about? What's new? This seems to be a new product. This seems to be a new service. This seems to be a new benefit that they're offering. I should know more about it. And that is a kind of real skill that your team has to build in internally and believe in it day in, day out. All right. Jagat, would you like to come back, say something about these things?
So again, this is a beautifully done slide, right? And right, I think one thing that I'm just seeing is, of course, there's this new thing, where we have this community-led growth, right? There's product-led growth, where the product does the selling. Now we have moved to community-led growth. And I think really communities, creators, I think really these are the themes also, and that's really the creative marketing. I think a lot of that is the creator and the these kind of aspects, right? It
Absolutely.
was actually wonderful to see in one of the articles as well how they differentiate gig workers and creators, right?
Yeah.
Very different. Gig workers, you're commoditized, right? You're just another freelancer, you're just another developer.
Hmm.
But when you look at the creators, they really celebrate individuality, and that's really creativity, right? So beautifully put, creative marketing right up there. I think that's nicely done. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Good.
sharing this. Really nice. Yeah.
No worries. No worries, sir. And then I think this is something also that I thought would be of vital value. Okay. We have heard of business model canvas, growth hacking canvas. Okay. So it's about, organic channels where you don't have to spend money. And then, of course, there is paid channels, right? Then what are the activities that you will do? What is the value that you can offer? And at the same time that when you're talking about, customer persona, buyer persona, what is your branding? Like, where do you need to spend money on promotional infrastructure? How will you really create, if someone wants to say, come to a Vidphone, what is the brand experience? What is it that they're going to get in terms of value, right? So maybe some of these thought processes are there that, Jagat, you would like to very quickly illustrate a few things that you are doing at Vidphone around virtual office, remote selling, remote CU, virtual engagement.
This is a phenomenal slide. I just took a screenshot, Vijetha. Really wonderful, right? Adapted, I think, from the business model canvas, but
Yes, yes,
growth hacking, wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
In fact, I just took a screenshot. We'll probably action this kind of a format. Organic channels, I think, obviously the usual suspects, right? I think Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn,
mm,
of course a bit of Telegram, not Telegram, Tumblr. We've started
mm,
Reddit, so we have YouTube, and some other platforms as well. We'll be starting a few more. I think I was discussing also a little earlier about these things. uh, a lot of channels today, right? But at the end of the day, yes, there are some things like we were discussing. Sometimes the pages are not, for organic, it doesn't work, right? You really need to go with groups. So again, it's coming to the communities. Paid, yeah, I think really fantastic, kind of layout, and nice to see that brand experience right in the center, right? More than even the value proposition. I mean, a computer by Samsung and a laptop by Mac, the value proposition is the same, right? They're both laptops, but the brand experience takes center stage, right? And that's very, very important. Yeah,
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. So, these are just nuggets, these are just
yeah,
bullet points because I know it's important. Now, Jagat, this is a role play that we can do, okay? Look, all this is all fine. You do this growth, this, that, everything you do. But ultimately, you're going to be negotiating hard. You're going to be discussing. You're going to be offers, counter offers, negotiations, price points, what if scenarios. Suppose you could do this. So this is something that, last time I talked about a more neutral ways of negotiation, but here there are some very different kind of thing, right? Like how do you stress the balance of value? Because Jagat, you just said, right, the brand experience, the value that we can offer. Okay, how do we give more and more value to the customer? Of course, we should be profitable. It's not just about giving. We talked about win-win concept. All right, and always talking like a partner. So, what are our common interests? Right? It should not be only about the cost, but it's also about the value. It's also about the trust. It's also about making sure that the customer understands that you're with them through thick and thin. Okay. So, if you would like to just share some thought processes, some of the customers, the global customers, corporate customers, and business owners that you have onboarded, how has it been with them, and maybe some learnings without naming them, some of the things where you focus on the trust, rapport, goodwill, and value, and that's why they're sticking on to your platform.
yeah. And again, I mean, fantastic slide again. And I think there's so much of insights. You know, the exchanging options. I think the what is the value, right? I think that is really fundamental between any transaction. I think as you also well know, Vijetha, really it is about what value each person is giving the other, right? Whether somebody's getting paid for a certain service or the other way around, right? So I think, as you said, enterprise and B2B, and because we were talking more of B2B,
Yeah.
I really think that it depends on the relationship, right? It's really, really important. Recently, also, um, for example, I'll give you an example of one of our customers. And of course, we talk about this quite often. I won't take the name right now, but I can, but we just avoid to. But let's say that it's one of the largest car manufacturers in the world. And you can imagine the pandemic and what's the kind of effect it's had on auto sales. And this particular brand is a kind of upcoming brand, one of the largest in the world, but India they're new. So now what do you do when there are lockdowns and basically your inventory is sitting in the showroom or in the manufacturing place? Uh, the value we gave them was really video driven sales and sell your cars via video chat. And it might seem that it's crazy, but who's going to buy a car on video chat? But the fact is that when you use video chat, it's so much more closer than a phone call or anything else. It's almost like being there in person, right? So that is significant value, and they don't need to download an app and a lot of benefits to customers. So I think that's very differentiated there. The trial balloon, really love that. I think it is about asking questions. All of this is questioning and seeing how they react. And yeah, I think that's the last point. Shared interest. I think uh, that's part of all of our ethos, right? It's a win-win. See, there is no transaction if one party fails. This is basics of transaction.
Yes. Yes.
And business itself, both have to be better off than when they started. This is a
Absolutely.
fundamental. So
Absolutely.
yeah, beautifully put, Vijeta. Yeah.
Fantastic, sir. So that is my part two. So I'm going to stop the screen share so that you guys can get back to the next part of it. Okay, we are on 6:30 right now. So we have had four segments almost. Okay, so
I think we can also discuss. I think one is growth hacking. I mean, we've discussed in Akil's on open source, and we can also look at how many times a lot of tools are open source used by growth hackers.
yeah,
And one of the things that I was also just kind of, as Akil was talking about open source, uh, all of the SaaS companies, for example, almost all of them use open source, some kind of lamp stack or whatever it might be, mean stack, anything. And none of them are open source, right? I mean, you always take open source and generally you look to commercialize it. And I think that's again, so beautiful of the open source community. It's not that they don't know it, right? I'm sure that's why they do it, and that's again so beautiful, right? I mean, it's selfless and it is serving the community, and of course, a lot of tools that we know, right? Everything from a lot of open source tools that we use for things, which we can get into some other time. But there is also a blend there, right? I think between open source technologies and growth marketing, growth hacking. Growth hacking itself is a technical concept. It's not a marketing concept. It's about making tweaks in the product and the flows, and really nice to see that blend in, right? Ultimately, it's the customer. How can technology improve that experience? So
And there is a
awesome.
lot of ways to do this. There's a, I mean, like people, I mean, like, look, like how well is Shopify doing? Because they're really, really good for small, retail stores, etc., to grow. So we respect what the world is doing. We understand all these hacks, and then we adopt it. And
Absolutely.
just to clarify to everyone, it's not just about technology. It's about using the technology to leverage your brand, to leverage your sales, to engage with your
Yeah,
customers better and make the user experience better. It could be in any
absolutely.
field. It could be in hospitality, travel, restaurants, co-living, co-working, retail, anything. Okay.
Absolutely.
I've
Absolutely. I
also,
think,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
No, I've enabled a raise hand if anyone wants to come in. That's all I was saying.
Yes.
And continue, Jagat. Continue.
No, I think yeah, absolutely well said. Technology without application to business or without interfacing a customer is R&D, right? So uh, we're not an R&D company. We do R&D a lot, as we know, we do a lot of R&D work. But ultimately, you're about making money. So
That's,
absolutely well said. Yeah.
yeah. Oops, I think
Akhil, I think.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
someone raised their hand. Yeah.
yeah, Ganesh did, but I don't know. Something happened. He dropped off. So Ganesh, raise your hand again. We'll get you in to the conversation. Till he does that, Akhil, you wanted to say something? Please continue.
No, I'm fine. I think I'll continue after the raise hand.
No, we'll just wait for a couple of probably 30, 20 seconds, and
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, great.
but I think growth hacking, yes, that's. I think now really it's also moving to communities. And growth hacking, one of the beauties is that it's extremely creative endeavor, as we were mentioning. It's not purely a science. It's got an element of art. In fact, a lot of art, and I think that's a nice mix.
Yeah,
Uh,
community building is especially now in today's world. If you don't do it, you will not be able to grow your tribe and build your brand.
yeah,
It is necessary to build your community, and it could be offline, online engagement, learning courses. I think it's very important. Webinars, discussions like these. This is all community,
absolutely.
right? And Jagat, we were discussing this, right? Even we don't try to compete, right? I mean, Clubhouse is there, so many other people are there. Let's do something on Clubhouse. Come on to Vidphone. We know we want to do these music sessions, yoga sessions, book reading sessions, poetry
Yeah,
sessions, just sales professionals coming together and talking about what works, what doesn't work. So
yes.
it's beautiful, isn't it? We can do so
No,
much.
it is. I think social audio that they're doing. I think Akhil and I obviously we were building some stuff around social video a couple of years back. That was early days. I'd say even the technology was a little bit older. The times the internet was a little bit slower, and all that contributed to us saying that it's not going to work that well
Yes,
right then.
yes. But right place, right time, and I guess as technology improves, 5G comes in next year, etc. There's so much of potential, and why not? Okay, so we
Absolutely.
can. I
I
have
think
some.
Akhil, yeah.
Yeah, Akhil, you want to continue?
Yeah.
You have some. Yeah,
Yes.
please.
So welcome back. So a quick word on licenses. I'm not a lawyer, so I won't go too much into this. So it's important to you understand the license that you're using, that the open source project is has before using the project. Uh, some projects also require to sign a CLA, which is a contributor license agreement, especially projects that have a commercial aspect to it. So some projects they have like a free, an open source version and a proprietary version, or they provide paid services, etc. So a lot of them ask you to sign a CLA, which basically states that they have the right to use your contribution, etc. And then there's this website, tldrlegal.com, which will give you like a overview of the license so that you can easily understand it in layman's terms. So now let's look at some reasons why you want to contribute to open source. So one of the top reasons is to become a better developer. So when you contribute some code to an open source project, normally they have a review process. So they'll go through your code. They'll provide very helpful feedback on. So they have style guides. They have standards that they maintain. A lot of them, especially the bigger projects, and then they will give you detailed feedback on what to improve. So as you contribute more code, you become a better developer. You also improve the software that you rely on, so fix any bugs, and those bugs might be faced by a lot of people. So you fix same bug for a lot of people. Then you also gain recognition for yourself and your company. So if especially if you are a prolific open source contributor, you get a fair bit of recognition. Then you can also add your contributions, especially large contributions, to your resume or CV. You can build your professional network. So as you contribute, as you network with other open source contributors, you they normally build up a strong professional network. And then larger open source projects, especially that are run by large companies, also provide free swag for first time contributors like t-shirts, hoodies, etc. So, what are some ways to contribute to open source? The most direct way is to provide pull requests, which is code snippets. I have a code for new features or bug fixes. You can also help by reporting issues. So, either feature requests, so new features that you want to build, or you can also report any bugs or other issues. Documentation fixes. So, and any spelling errors, or if certain sections are not documented, etc. Then a lot of open source projects also have events, so you can volunteer and help plan those events. Then you can also help moderate issues. So issues is any bug or feature request. So you can a lot of the times there are lots of duplicate issues, etc. So when suppose there's a bug which a lot of people face, they all report the same issue. So you can help moderating that, pointing everyone to one common issue, which will help free up the contributors' time. And then lastly, you can also sponsor the project. So GitHub has a sponsor project. A lot of open source projects also offer consulting, paid consulting. So you can pay for that time. Now, what do you want to contribute code to an open source project? A lot of them have contributors guide, which is a document on their page, which will list all the steps. And so a lot of them have like a style guide, contributors guide, how the commit should be how the commit should be formed, etc. So please follow those guides if it's present, and also be patient. So a lot of very popular open source projects receive hundreds and they receive hundreds of requests per day, and they might be a small team, so they might not be able to get back to you very quickly. So please be a little patient. Now, how do you pick a project to contribute to? So on GitHub, especially, there's issues that are tagged "good first issue," issues that are meant for people who want to start contributing. So you can search GitHub for "good first issue," and there's also a list of other websites like GitHub Explorer is a list of trending web repositories, etc. Open, and then there are multiple other websites that will help you. Some of them listed here that will help you find projects that are open to receiving contributions from first-time contributors. Many open source projects also have their roadmap in a public fashion, wherein you can see everything in their backlog, everything that's going to be released in the next version, etc. You can comment and provide suggest new fixes and new changes, and you can also provide comments on stuff and help them plan their roadmaps better. That's also another way to contribute. So, suppose you have decided to start your own open source project. Uh, the first thing is to start your project. It's free. So on GitHub, Bitbucket, and a few of the others, they don't charge, especially for public repos. So you can set up a project. It doesn't take too much of time. There are plenty of guides starting to get started online. So please research. Uh, and dedicate some time for community outreach. So as was mentioned previously, no matter how important your project is, it won't be useful unless people know about it. And there are thousands and thousands of projects that are started every day. So you need to spend a little time on community outreach. And then so your project doesn't even need to be software. So the one of the most popular open source projects on GitHub is this one, which is just a collection of awesome lists. So it has about 165 odd thousand stars. So stars is like people favoriting it. And then make use of open. So a lot of companies, they also provide credits. So like DigitalOcean, for example, will give you free server time, free servers, etc., if you're an open source project. Uh, so especially if your open source project gets a little popular or it's useful to a lot of people, lots of these established larger companies will be willing to sponsor your project. So thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Very nicely done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we have quite a few known friends here. We have Challa, Shangeet, Shravan, Om Prakash, Ganesh. The raise hand option is enabled. So any of you guys want to come in, you're always welcome. Okay. So please, please, anyone, Abdul, sorry, Abdul is also here. So just want to say hi to you, wonderful people. Thank you so much. Jagat, what else can we talk about? Can I share some more of my books? It's 6:42.
Yes, and then probably small session from me for about 5 minutes, and then we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
call it a Sunday.
Perfect, perfect. So again, one of my favorites, I always will talk about this, the blue ocean shift. Okay, because one must look at new customers, non-customers. Don't get trapped into doing only sales where there are too many competitors and you're forced to revise your pricing. Some of the things that is always there is go beyond competition. Okay, look at look at new customers. So I think Jagat, we are a young demographic profile, right? So there are a lot of customers in colleges, in the small towns, people who are in the 18 to 25 kind of age group, who are actually earning money, have disposable incomes, and that's something that we should really figure it out, right? Also, I would like to say that the hotel industry, which has been so badly battered, they are actually a blue ocean. There are a lot of services that can be created for them. Many of them will need technology, Jagat. They will need to do remote sales. They will need virtual engagement models. But think about this, right? All the wonderful rivers that we have, river tourism, there's so much of potential out there. In India, a beautiful river cruise. You have Ganga, you have the Mandu River, you have so many beautiful places. How can we build, beautiful, sustainable, not polluting the rivers. You're not just dumping sewage over there. So they have to be green, they have to be sustainable, they have to be run on maybe solar and another kind of new technologies. But river tourism in India is a massive growth opportunity, right? There is a lot of things that needs to be done. People have to come together. I'm just giving you that one example, right?
True.
Because of work from home, there's so many people who want to consume great content. So the way the OTT has grown, the way platforms like Vidphone has grown, right? So you need sales, you need work, you need entertainment, convergence. What is going on in that front?
And
So
shopping.
shopping, yes, absolutely.
Ah,
Retail, online retail is like crazy, right? Okay. Of course, this is another classic. The hard things about hard
yeah.
things. A very important thought process here about simple basic things, right? Preparing company communication. You're talking to so many people, customers, non-customers, friends, family. How do you create beautiful, beautiful, beautiful communication? You fail to do that, you're going to get into trouble, right? And also evaluation, right? He also says like, how do you know that you may be the boss and you may feel great about yourself, but are you actually doing a good job? How are you going to evaluate yourself? What are the parameters that you're going to be not killing yourself or being too hard, but you need to think about this, right? Then there are two things that he talks about. Okay, very simple but very classical: peacetime CEO and wartime CEO. And you have to keep changing your hats.
Yes.
Peacetime is things are going great. You just have to make sure that you manage the business well,
Cruise control.
cruise control, but nothing should go wrong. Don't take unnecessary fights. Make sure your team is happy, etc., etc. Of course, you don't ignore it during a war, but during a war, you got to be more resilient. You got to be tougher. You got to be, building stronger and stronger moats around yourself. You have to be going out there and going through like whatever the hail fire, the arrows, or whatever you want to call it. But you got to think about it. So the peacetime CEO thinks differently, acts differently. A
Yeah.
wartime CEO has to be much more tougher. He or she has to be more aggressive. You have to handle a lot of bad press, bad customers, but you got to do this. Okay. And always this question, right? How do you get a team to work? How do you make sure that the team believes in you, right? Or rather, how do you make sure that the customer doesn't get a bad service or bad experience because the team is not aligned to goals? And it's easy to blame, but you got to bring people together. So this book really, really talks about these kind of things. Okay. Then another very important thought process is around deep work. So here is you make sure that what needs to be done, what is really important and cannot be just put into the sidelines. You focus on it. You keep away external disturbances, and make sure that it achieves what the outcome, whatever that is needed, it is done to perfection, so that you don't have to revisit it, and it takes care of the most urgent, compelling things. For example, you have a big project, you have to have a big sales discussion. You can't let it go, right? You have to isolate, focus, crack it. You know that you have to build your website and make it really classy. You cannot figure it out by just sitting quietly. You have to work on it. You have to bring all the team together to concentrate on it, right? So that's where the deep work, the eat the frog principles come together. Okay. There is one conversation here where maybe Jagat, you also can come in. Can you talk a bit about go to market strategy for B2C software and app businesses? Okay, go to market strategy for business to business software and app businesses. Would you like to give a stab at it, Jagat? Then I will also put in my thoughts.
Okay. Just a minute. Let me check that. This is a question, is it? Who's the?
It's
Sorry,
come from,
can I just?
it's come from Shangit. So I mean, Shangit, you can even come online if you want.
Yes, feel free to use raise hand, and so we can understand a little bit of context. I think it's tough to give a generic answer for software. In my view, I think it's yes. Please, Vijetha, if you want to take it in, or please, Ganesha.
No, it's Ganesh who's coming.
Okay, Ganesh. So you can take him in. I mean, yeah. Hi, Ganesh.
I will say, hey Ganesh, good evening. How are you?
Hi, good sir. Nice being with you in this conversation
Thank you, Ganesh. How's business?
for us, especially.
How's business, Ganesh? First.
Yeah, still the same. This one
Okay,
should be picking up. We have to wait for a right time now.
absolutely, absolutely. Of course, with slowly,
Since I don't have a earphone, I'm not so clear and loud. And
no, you're absolutely clear and loud. We can hear you very, very well, sir. No problem.
okay, thank you.
Okay, but all
And in fact, asked Mr. Lobo to join us. I
ah,
think he should be busy with something else.
no problem, sir. It's good to have you here. Hope you're enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, of course. This is new to me, but I wish to come in and I wish to learn all this,
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
understand things.
Fantastic, fantastic. I mean, you have a great restaurant, a great team, great food and service, and touch wood, a lot of more business coming your way also, Mr. Ganesh.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for joining in, and have a good time with this conversation and learnings also. All right.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in. Bye. Bye. Okay. So I think, see, when you
Wonderful.
say D2C, right, direct to customer,
Yeah.
there are so many businesses, right? You have Dunzos, you have all the Swiggies, Zomatos, etc., etc. So if you want, see, let's be a little bit careful here, okay? It costs a lot of money to build brands and to do marketing. But at the same time, there are a lot of businesses which are direct to consumer, which have used Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram to build communities and do sales. They've used Facebook, they have built beautiful content, they have created ways where they know their customer, and if it's hyper local, making calls, figuring out how to deliver locally, etc., etc. So, and Sangeet, so these are some of the things that I can think of when it comes to direct to consumer D2C
I think he's
business.
written B2C. Is it
Business to
B2C?
consumer, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Hmm?
Yes,
So
B2C.
business, yeah, business which is going directly to the consumer, right? So it could be apparel, it could be food, it could be like wellness products.
yeah.
Okay, it could be like even of course, Jagat, you have both models. You have B2B and you have
Now,
B2C.
ours, I think that's a great point, right? So B2C today, what's the difference between B2C and D2C? There's this lot of talk of direct to consumer and business to consumer. So, what's the difference? So, did research, and you understand that when you do B2C, it can also have a physical aspect to it. If you're going to run it purely online, it's called D2C. That's the only difference.
Hmm.
So like a Wakefit, you go online and you order, you can't get it from a store. You have to order online. It's like a direct from Dell kind of model, Amazon kind of thing. So, direct to consumer. In my view, he's asked for B2C, and we were doing live wire consumer video chat, um, nearly 100,000 downloads, no money spent. uh, I think a good way to go, a lot of times for B2C typically is product led growth. uh, that's what I've kind of learned, right? So your B2C product will either be something that is deeply engaging, maybe multiple times in a day I keep using it, or it is viral, right? And it generally will not be both. So you have to pick. I think, I mean, this is, just basic strategies I think that we try and do. You have to pick which one of those are you going to be. If for us it is more of the virality, because you can't have a video chat without another person. So by nature, video conferencing is viral. If you can have deeper engagements, that's a bonus. But for us, the virality is important. If you have a shopping app like an Amazon, for example, there you won't have the virality so much. You won't be inviting everyone, but you will be spending more time in it. So I think depending on that, but your product led features have to really do it. I mean, I wouldn't say, I'm sure you're probably a startup. I mean, the way you're looking at it, but I don't think you can do ads and stuff like that and really dedicate too much funds, right? I mean, so I think product led growth is really the focus. Focus on the product. How can that kind of sell itself? That's the best way, I think, my view. And we are interestingly, we were B2C initially, then we were B2B, but today I think the focus is that we are what we call a B2B2C business. We sell to businesses who sell to end customers. So we sell to D2C customers. And but the important thing is that the customer, the end customer, the user, he experiences the Vidphone brand, and he does not experience the business. That's important, so that they're having that consistency of experience throughout. So really depends on your model. Happy to chat, but I think Vijetha, I think he's addressed that to you, so maybe you can probably guide a little more.
Oh, not at all, not at all. It's not about guiding or giving an input. It's about, we have to understand the business better. I think
Yeah,
that's what really matters, Shangeet, because we should not give you a gyan which
yeah.
when when we don't. But yes, but build
Generic
confidence. Yeah,
gen-
generic ninja
is
avoidable,
only
strictly
that good.
avoidable.
Yeah,
Yeah, strictly avoidable. But I will only talk about examples, right? I mean, how people have, how businesses have gotten to their consumers, how they have built payment gateways that are easy on their website. They've used modern platforms and integrate immersive engagement platforms like WhatsApp and Telegram and Facebook and all these. They've created content, and they've also created content. They have also created beautiful imageries, photographs which are out there, so the customer can trust, right? And they also get customer testimonials. I mean, without that, they will not do things. So
we can probably pull them in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hi,
Yes,
Sangeet.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sangeet, go ahead.
Hi, hi. How are you guys? You guys doing
All
good?
good, all good, Sangeet. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So, hi, Jagat sir. I'm actually a student in Motilal Nehru MNIT, Allahabad. So,
Super.
I'm doing my third year right now.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
called Pipori.com, Pipory dot
Hmm.
com. So, what we are trying to do is like a social media site, but it's completely only for static creativity. So, for example, if you see many students in my college itself, there are photographers,
Yeah. Voice, I think network is a
uh,
little shaky there. Yeah.
can you
Your
guys hear
network.
me?
Yeah, you're good. Your network is a little intermittent. But go on. Yeah. We got that about photographers. I think he's on a 4G probably. They're on
Yeah,
a
yeah,
shaky
he's.
network a little bit.
Why don't you type your question, Sangeet? You
Yeah,
be
Sangeet.
very
Yeah.
specific. Type it on the chat so that we can explain to you. Okay, type it on the chat. We can't hear you. Ah, done. So Ganesh, I think what he's talking about, freelancers, the gig economy.
Gig. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing people together and then helping them to get business.
Probably
Like
a community. I mean, let's see the question, but maybe it's something on those lines. Yes.
Mhm.
You can just drop in the question there, Shangit. Happy to take that.
Yeah.
And good. I mean, just look at that, right? Motilal and NIT, Allahabad.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
kids. I mean, that's the
It's super
perfect
awesome.
age to start up.
Super awesome. Super awesome it
Right.
is. Oh yeah,
Really nice.
there is some fantastic work happening from student entrepreneurs. Yeah,
Oh yes.
hats off to them. They're really putting in a lot of effort, Jagat. So
Pipori.com. Okay.
and the country needs it. Has he put something out?
Pipori.com. They put the website. Let's check it out. Wow, that's a nice website. I like that. Your creativity deserves to be rewarded. Mhm. Yes, yes,
Beautiful,
okay.
beautiful. Very compelling, right?
Mhm.
Very nicely done. Photography, blogs, create, motivate yourself, and earn pip coins. Wow, tokenization already here. Monetize your passion. Interesting. Nicely done, man. Nicely done. How's it
Yep.
going? That's what we really want to know. Like, is this creating some value? Are you getting some money? Are you
Yes,
winning?
I think it's also a marketplace, right? So the way I
Yeah,
see it,
yeah.
it's a typical, two-sided marketplace.
Hmm.
Chicken and egg problem you'll have whether you get the designers first or you get the viewers. Right? I think these kind of stuff. But happy to connect. I think we should
Yes,
be able
yes,
to
yes.
touch base.
Interesting, interesting. Very interesting.
It's almost 7. Can I kind of have
Yeah,
my
go
five
ahead, go
minutes?
ahead. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, go ahead. Please go
All right.
ahead.
'Cause I just want to make sure that it's Sundays. We all. I'm sure everybody else also gets their own time and with their families. So I want to keep this reasonably short. Uh, I'm just going to share my screen here. Audience can click on my video to full screen it. So really coming to today's topic, and I want to keep this just very, very short, and we'll probably continue more. This one's called remote control for startups. And what is remote control? What is this thing? Let's just break up the words. Remote, as you know, many of you know, is a place far away. And control, there are different uses of the word control. Like with English, you have different usage of the same word. But the control that we are talking about really is a verb. It's really about supervising the running, right? Really about kind of running an operation. Uh, just 1 minute there. Okay. So this is really about how can I supervise remotely, right? That's really the essence of this. And we've kept this, obviously our audience is quite startup focused. So for startups, but we're also doing this with larger enterprises, right? So pre-pandemic versus the present, uh, the physical office was really the control center, right? I mean, that's where everything happened. All the action in the office, professionally, everything happened in that under that roof. And the question really is it time for a virtual office? Is it time for a virtual one? Today that the pandemic is there and, really there is lockdowns. And what are these control areas, right? When I look at any kind of business, or more specifically, when I look at a startup, uh, I think, these are the main kind of areas where you need to be able to control the outcomes, have the goals, have your OKRs. Number one thing that startup entrepreneurs, over 80% of startups, have an issue with lead generation and new customer generation, right? So that's a real big challenge. Marketing has to be handled. Number one, I think, be able to generate that kind of leads. Of course, when you generate the leads, there has to be a process to convert them, sales. The third is after they have become your customers, or I'd like to use the word Vijetha says also, guests, right? I like that word also. Uh, then you really look at, and that's the beauty of SaaS and kind of what we do. Uh, you really look to deliver value for the long term. Many times I think in the past, sales has been about, you do the deal, take the check, and you run away. I mean, the deal is done, right? But in today's economy, and the more we get towards a community-led economy, we will see that these relationships really matter. Brands cannot have one-time kind of transactions with customers, and especially bad experiences. So support and customer success become is a very, very important aspect today. In fact, I would go ahead and say that more than marketing and sales today, it's really the customer success that differentiates the best companies from the men from the boys. This is the external, what I would say, to do with the customers or outside your organization. And obviously there is an internal part, right? What makes all of this stuff happen, and what makes us be able to deliver this to the customers? And that's really your team, your vendors, and your partners, right? People that you work with internally to deliver the kind of value to that the top, so that the top part can actually serve that audience, the marketing, sales, and support. uh, and I also put a broad bucket there. And when I say team and vendor, it obviously means if you're a product company, it's your engineering team, design team. And if you're, for example, a restaurant, it's really your internal, your staff, everybody, everyone from your security to all your people in the kitchen, your people who are serving. So Really, it's about the internal side. It can be for any business, right? And this is not specifically for tech or SaaS alone. And I put a miscellaneous there, which could be, you could have a HR interview once in a while, or you could talk to your, your finance, your CA. You could have some other associated, small, kind of work there. Best way I thought was to get to a live overview. What I'll do is I'll just share my own, Vidphone dashboard here. So let me just go to Vidphone first, and I think for those of you who have not visited vidphone.me, I suggest you visit vidphone.me. Uh, I think this is really a time for entrepreneurs, for small businesses to thrive. In cases, whenever there is a bit of a really big catastrophe or a pandemic like this, or a depression, uh, the most number of entrepreneurs and startups are actually formed during those times, right? So in these times, coming to the context, what I was saying, what is the constraint today? The constraint is that no matter who you are, you really cannot move around freely like before. And does that mean that all of your work actually should get affected, right? So we obviously believe that with a lot of businesses, I'm not saying all businesses, but I can almost certainly say that all businesses will benefit at least to some degree, using the technology. There are many businesses and professions that can be 100% remote. 100% remote. You don't need an office. I understand there is a school of thought with hybrid. Uh, I believe that people can meet for socializing, and people can have a whiteboard and kind of hit some ideas. But having this 2 day, here and 5 day there, and I think this whole idea is a very kind of absurd concept, right? Uh, when you just go back in history, this whole idea of commute was not there. There was never an idea where the workplace was 1 hour away, except for, let's say, traders. If you look at the farmers, the farm would be right there. Their dwelling or their house would be right there. Even if you look at in Bangalore or any other city that you may be in, your local stores, right? Many times the storefront, the front is the storefront, and behind they're staying. So this whole work life commute and everything, I think, has gone way out of proportion. Probably, they're definitely pushed by a lot of companies, probably in America and Britain, etc. But what I can tell you is that if you want 10x performance, let's move to the Vidphone virtual HQ. uh, it's really the headquarters for somebody to do remote business, right? And as you can see here, it's got a set of tools that every entrepreneur or every business can actually use. Firstly, we call one the virtual office, which is our flagship product. The first is the customer zone, right? So you have a unique URL. Let's say your business is XYZ. You have vidphone.me/XYZ, much like Facebook or Twitter or any of the IDs that you have. And people can enter this kind of elegant, interface. They can directly video chat with the business. You click a button and you talk to the business. They can drop their business card here. Of course, this does not have an active video right now, but you would have a live webinar or a previous webinar here. They can also book direct appointments with sales, with customer support, etc. So really, here you can see the marketing side on the webinars. You can see the sales and support on the appointments, and you can see that instant gratification, the chat, which is really the going to give the difference to the businesses, right? Today we live in an attention economy. Everybody wants things immediately, even if it's a business, right? Nobody even has the patience to tweet or to send a mail today. I want to click a button, get the job done, right? So, and of course you have the meeting room, so anybody can come in and pop into your lobby, and of course your team can get back to them and get a video conference and talk to them, right? So what we are trying to do here, and probably the only company today in the world where we are offering an entire full suite work platform, right? So this is the customer zone, as I said, for your internal teams, right? For people in your office that you work with. We miss the good old days of sitting next to each other in the desks, right? And we believe that we should actually get back there. I think people should be sitting next to each other, collaborating, much like this. You're sitting on your desk. I have my colleagues probably next to me, and click a button, I'm able to talk to them, right? Much like real life. This is the public office. we have opened this to all the users, right? Anybody can come and sit here, share the link, and have chats with people. A bunch of other tools, a revolutionary, video messaging product here. This is really about, how do you stay in touch with, your people without getting into endless video meetings. So what I can do is I can just, send a video note. I just, click that button there. I just say, hi, this is my video note, and, you can respond to me whenever you want. Uh, and you can send it out, right? So you just send in a test for a subject, for example, and the other person, much like your WhatsApp message, he gets, high quality video message there. Yeah, and it's instantaneous, right? You're able to instantly send these video messages to people, and it's really, really beneficial compared to just video conferencing. And that's very important tool that I think will really differentiate businesses today. Of course, we have our rooms, themed rooms. People can explore the entire feature, right? We have a lot of options. You can also go ahead and give your own themes, right? So your rooms can look like your boardroom. It can look like a coffee shop. It can also look like a beach, right? Maybe on Sunday next time we should have a kind of beach interface and just having a light kind of conversation over there. Of course, we have webinars. I would say that our entry rates are amongst the highest in the world simply because there's no download needed. People can just click on a link like you did, /TV, and you really pop in, right? You have an entire interface of all the data and the analytics that you need to be able to track all your users, your comments, complete solution here for outreach and marketing. Of course, you can schedule your conferences. Video bookings, this is very important. This is the biggest sales hack for salespeople. Okay, and let me tell you how this works. How difficult is it to get 5 minutes of time from people, prospects? I think it's very difficult. But if you can just try this method, you can of course create your account. I do this, right? I just, whatever email or WhatsApp I send, I just send people out this schedule link. This is a link where people can book my meeting. Everyone from potential customers, investors, everybody, we channel them to this particular place. Your customer comes here, they can book your time, and immediately, both of you get video meeting links from Vidphone. It's an end-to-end solution to be able to generate more and more appointments on your calendar, right? So that's what this appointment scheduling feature is. We have a complete contacts feature. Of course, this is one of my test accounts, so I don't have my updates, but most of you will see all of your contacts here. Revolutionary product, the VCRM, right? This is really the video CRM. You get a complete list of all the people that have been part of your ecosystem, part of your activities, and you can also engage with them based on their interest levels, right? So we keep it very democratic. As you can see, over the past few months, thanks to the support of Vijetha and Akil doing such a fantastic job, nearly 500 leads, 500 people in our community built completely organic, right? We spend really no money on this, and these are all high quality people like all of you guys, joining us today, the startup community that we're after. And we really we are so passionate about this community. Happy to do all this. So here you come in, you have a company. So this is really your team put together, everybody. Of course, this is a test account. You can go and check it out. Invite your friends in, right? So the idea is you have all your team and your tools to complete all your tasks, remotely. And we are really excited about this, right? As you can see, full suite solution covers marketing, sales, support, covers collaboration, and this is what we call video led transformation, right? This is video led growth for the pandemic, for the pandemic situation. So that was my quick note today. Really want to share this with the audience. We really believe, I think a very difficult time for everybody today, and I think everyone should do what they can to support each other, right? That's really why we have built this out. Definitely not easy. I think Akil will second me, saying how challenging it is to do this day in day out. Really put out all the features there, right? So if we look at, let's say, a Google Meet or a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams, they have the synchronous communication, but they lack asynchronous communication. They don't have permanent rooms. They don't have VCRM, right? You have some other tools that may have async video. They don't have synchronous communication. Now they have both, but they don't have SDK. I think the time is really now where we need a full suite video solution that businesses can deploy easily, cost effective, made in India. And really, guys, I encourage you to come in and join our community. We share a lot of inputs. Of course, Vijetha is with us, and we also share a lot of inputs on remote work. And let's not think about the third wave, right? Let's think about how we can ride our wave in the business, right? I think for all of us, we know that I think the top virologists are predicting the third wave and all of this stuff. So what are we thinking? I mean, okay, it could come. So what are we going to do about it, right? Are we prepared? Are we armed, and are we ready to capitalize on whatever the situation may come? So that's my notes. Thank you for it's sorry, I kind of ran way over time there. My apologies, but yes, really excited about the work. Thanks for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jagat. Thank you to our wonderful audience. Of course, a lot of these snippets will be out there, and they can look and learn and engage, and let's all be together because we have to build our innovation clusters. We have to build the bridges across so that more startups, more founders can grow, create employment, innovate, and do great things for themselves, their teams, and the countries and families. So, with that, thank you. It's been a wonderful evening, Akhil and Jagat.
Thank
As
you.
always, fantastic. Lots of learning, lots of understanding the possibilities that we can do. And that's all I have to say. Much of gratitude as always.
Akhil, your
Uh,
last words today.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for everyone for joining this week. Next this week we spoke about open source, and next week we'll have a few more topics. If you like anything to be covered, please mention it in the chat or uh, mention it in the founders feed group, and we'll consider it for future episodes. Thank you.
Perfecto. Thank you, everyone, and take care. Have a
Thanks a
great
lot,
week
guys.
going
Really
ahead.
have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Sunday, and have a great week coming ahead. Thanks all. Take care. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.